Welcome back to another episode of Press Play, Media Strategies from Scott Media Tulsa. This is the podcast where we break down the world of media, marketing, and public relations. I'm your host, Jeremy Scott, and today we're diving into a topic that's really important for small business owners and nonprofit agencies, media literacy. So we're going to talk about how understanding and identifying fake news or misinformation can really be a powerful tool in your social media marketing strategy. Plus, I'm going to share a really exciting announcement. I can't wait for that. We'll have all that and more coming up in this episode of Press Play. Well, welcome to episode 7 of Press Play. It kind of seems surreal that this has now been going on for 7 weeks. Once a week, I've been doing this podcast. I've been hearing from people that I run into that they're listening. I really appreciate that. I get statistics from listeners, and I'm getting some from overseas. I have someone from Germany, so I appreciate that. I have someone from Sweden. I think I might know who you are, but I don't know for sure. But either way, thanks for listening. So technically international, not a ton of plays, but I'm happy with the few that I have. And the people who have talked to me about it say it's helpful for them. They're great topics, and so I really appreciate that. I'm also really excited to formally announce something that I've been working on for quite some time. So when I launched Scott Media Tulsa, I knew that I wanted this business to specifically cater to small businesses and nonprofits who don't have large PR budgets. So when I speak to people who work in public relations, they tell me how much they get from larger companies. We're talking, $5, $10, $20, $30,000 a month for a PR firm to handle media pitching, of course, crisis communications when necessary, or anything else that they need from a PR firm. There's a lot of folks that I've worked with in small businesses and nonprofits that, of course, can't afford that. So I thought, how can I help with my expertise and offer a service at a much discounted rate? I've done that through video production services. So I've already had a couple clients I've only charged a couple $1,000s to help create content for them, both on their website and social media. But I've also worked with a client for a fundraising gala. If you are working on a fundraising gala, oftentimes you want an impactful video that you can show to guests who come to your event. Those things can be very expensive. I have the expertise and the knowledge and the equipment to do it on the cheap for $1,000, $2,000, depending on what it is. And so that's kind of the thought behind Scott Media Tulsa. And that inspired me to launch the Scott Media Tulsa digital bookstore. So I now have 4 as of today. As of this episode, I have 4. I'm working on several others. My hope is to have way more than 10, 20 digital ebooks on various topics. So I have some on media, some on digital marketing, some on crisis communications. I'm working on one that'll come out for media strategies for people who are in real estate. If you're a real estate agent and you're wondering how to get on the news or the best way to get earned media, I have a book in the works for that. In addition to the books, I also have customizable templates with every book. So some of the books may talk about the importance of a press release or a media advisory or a crisis communications plan. So in addition to just talking about it in the book and explaining what it is, I also have templates that you can use to customize for your unique situation. So I'm really excited about that. All that is on the Scott Media Tulsa digital bookstore, which you can find on my website at scottmediatulsa.com. That's Scott with 1 T, scottmediatulsa.com. Just click on digital bookstore and you'll go there to see what I have. My goal is to keep those cheap. This is information, expertise that you would have to pay quite a lot for. Again, if you're hiring a PR firm, you're going to potentially pay thousands of dollars. These books and templates, I wanted to keep under $10. So most of them $9.99. I have a couple of promos that I'll be running with some partners, which will allow for discounts in some cases. So I'm really excited about that. I hope it's beneficial to people. And again, you can find that on my website, scottmediatulsa.com. One of the books that I have up right now specifically talks about media literacy. Now, the book that's up is targeting teachers and educators. So I recently had an opportunity to speak to a college class. And as part of my visit, I ran into someone in the hall who asked me about fake news, misinformation, and how people's preconceived notions of topics or politics or whatever can influence their perception of what is fake news and what isn't, specifically on social media. The more you like something, the more that you're going to get topics related to what you like, which means that you're going to only see certain angles of certain stories. And so the importance of making sure people are literate when it comes to media and what is fake and what's not. So the topic for this episode is focused more on small businesses. So as a small business owner or even a nonprofit leader, it's really important to not only be able to spot fake news for your own understanding, but it really also ensures that the content you share or engage with on social media is trustworthy and reliable. If you're a small business owner, if you have a brand, you know that the credibility of what you work for is at stake every time you post something. That's why I sometimes advise small business owners and nonprofit leaders not to engage in topics that are controversial or political without warrant. So, I mean, if you are a nonprofit that specifically targets a certain community that maybe is being attacked in the media or the national stage, the conversation is attacking that group, then of course you want to speak out in favor of that. But there have been a couple times in the past I've had people ask me if they should participate in trending topics. And my advice to that generally is no, because there's no reason for you to. It's just putting you in a position where potentially you could be alienating certain customers or engaging with people online who maybe aren't as literate in the media as we are. And so it's important to protect your brand, but it's also important to understand media literacy for your marketing efforts. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that and how you can help build stronger relationships with your audience by media literacy. So the first question is, what is media literacy? So media literacy is the ability to analyze, evaluate, or even create media in a variety of forms. So it's about understanding the context behind the headlines, recognizing bias, and verifying sources before you share information or comment on information online. Misinformation on social media especially can really spread quickly, and being media literate gives you the upper hand. So for small business owners and nonprofits, the consequences of sharing misinformation can be significant, as I mentioned. So, I mean, it can damage your reputation. It can affect your bottom line. Your followers really are counting on you to provide honest and accurate content, especially when it relates to topics within your industry or cause. So by sharing something or liking something without really understanding it, you have the potential to cause harm to your reputation and your brand if it turns out that what you shared was either inaccurate or was created under the guise of accuracy, but with the intent of causing harm to someone else. You could potentially be included in that if you don't hold yourself accountable. So here's an example. Imagine that you run a nonprofit that focuses on something like environmental conservation. So you come across a post that's now gone viral claiming that a major corporation is polluting a local river. You immediately share it on your social page. You call them out and you comment about how terrible they are and how you wish that this was handled better. But it turns out that the claim was false. So by sharing that misinformation, you've really misled your audience. Your credibility could take a hit, not to mention that you could also be sued by the corporation that you called out. I think a lot of people think, well, I didn't post that. I just shared it. I didn't write that. I just commented on it. But by endorsing or sharing something on social media, you really put yourself at risk. And that's where media literacy comes in. So it's important before sharing anything to ask yourself, is the source reputable? Can you, as the person who's sharing it, verify the information with other trusted media outlets? Are you adding value to your audience by sharing that content? So by taking a few extra moments to evaluate what you're sharing, you could protect your reputation and help maintain the trust of your followers. So when specifically talking about a marketing strategy, how can you incorporate media literacy into that day-to-day plan? So there are a few practical tips that you can do. Number one, verify before you share. So always fact check before you're posting something or sharing something. Again, it's easy to just hit that button, but it's really important to use multiple reputable sources to confirm any validity of information that you're sharing. There are so many websites like Snopes or factcheck.org that can help you assess the accuracy of a story, especially if it seems sensational or questionable. When you're reading it and you think it might be a little outlandish, take the time to fact check and verify. The second strategy is just to create your own original content, which is something I do. So one way to avoid falling into the misinformation trap is to work by creating original content that aligns with your brand values. Share stories from your own business, share case studies, client testimonials or some data-driven insights, when you control the narrative, which you can easily do on your own website or social media pages, you can ensure that it's accurate, and your followers will appreciate you for that. Another strategy is educating your audience. So as a business or a nonprofit, you have the opportunity to not only demonstrate media literacy every day, but you can also help educate your audience as well. So share posts that explain the importance of fact checking, or teach your followers how to identify reliable sources. By doing that, you establish your brand as more of a thought leader in your industry, which goes a long way. It can also lead potentially to earned media opportunities. And I have blogs and previous posts about earned media. And then the fourth strategy I would say is to really engage thoughtfully in discussions. Social media is about conversation. We all know that. So when you're commenting, sharing, or engaging in a conversation with clients, with customers, with peers online, really be mindful of your tone and your message. A lot of times these days, as a journalist, we're trained that people know where we work, people know what we do, and so we're not allowed or really discouraged from participating online in political discussions, from endorsing candidates, from commenting on controversial subjects. And I live that. I've lived that for my whole career, for 30 years. So I would highly recommend that as well. I mean, it can really get you in trouble if you say something wrong on your personal page, especially if you're a business owner. People know what your business is. People know what your business is about. And so for you to comment or endorse or say something online that really can be taken out of context, that could be taken the wrong way, or in some cases is hateful or critical of a certain group, that's tied to your business, it's tied to your brand. These days, people don't really differentiate the two. So be really careful in your online discussions. I think your audience too will really appreciate more thoughtful contributions, especially when they're clearly well researched or insightful. There are so many times where media literacy is important. This year is one of them. It's an election year. And so we see so many fake stories, misinformation campaigns, malinformation that's being released, like the location of a candidate, where they live, their business, technically not inaccurate or fake information, because that's true, but that's malinformation, which is information that's released with the purpose of harming someone. During periods like this, media literacy really goes a long way and can set you and your brand apart. By participating in good media literacy strategies, you're not only protecting your brand from the risks of fake news, but you're also setting yourself apart from competitors. Your followers, your clients, potential clients, customers are really going to appreciate your commitment to accuracy, transparency, and trustworthiness. It's really going to help you build stronger relationships over time. Misinformation these days really can cloud the truth. It's hard to know what's true and what's not. And so for us as business leaders and as leaders in our community, it's important to be a beacon of reliable content that's going to position us, your business, your nonprofit, as a trusted voice in your community or your industry. That's really the type of credibility that translates into lasting success. I have an entire blog on my website about misinformation, specifically on social media, how you can protect yourself in your feed from fake news. There are tips and strategies for developing social media literacy, teaching you how you can spot misinformation, build healthy digital habits. I mean, I talk a little bit about algorithms and how that can impact what you see and what you think is true, how you can recognize misinformation, fact-checking tools, and then protecting yourself from manipulation. Ultimately, it's about being an informed, responsible, and critical consumer and sharer of content. We're all gatekeepers in a sense now with social media. It's a responsibility that we all need to take seriously. Media literacy is great for all of us as citizens, but it's super important if you're a business owner, a thought leader, a nonprofit leader. If you want someone to take you seriously, what you say and do and share online is really important. So read over that blog. I really hope it's helpful for all of you as you look at fighting misinformation and malinformation or fake news on social media. So that'll do it for today's episode of Press Play. If you found this episode helpful, don't forget that you can leave a review, share it with others who might benefit from it. I've had a couple PR contacts tell me they've shared it within their agency or with friends. I really appreciate that. And if you're looking for more tips on media strategy or marketing, again, go to my website, scottmediatulsa.com, Scott with one T, scottmediatulsa.com. I have blog posts, resources, my digital bookstore, and I have a free ebook that can all help you navigate the media world that we all live in. Next week, I'm really excited. We're going to expand a little bit more on what I mentioned earlier, my new book, which hopefully will be up in the next week, about media strategies for real estate agents. A lot of real estate agents are looking to compete in a pretty competitive real estate market. So what's going to set you apart? Well, earned media, making yourself an expert in the field, getting your face and your name in media publications, on television, blogs, podcasts. There are easy ways that you can do that, and we're going to do that next week. So that'll do it for this episode of Press Play. Have a great week.